Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of the Monday Blues. Round 11, Sydney versus Carlton. Sydney wins 11-11, 77 to Carlton's 6-15-51, boys. Now, I'm gonna start this off by saying this is take 2 of the podcast for this week. Now, we thought it would be a good idea to do it straight after the game.
Never again.
And
No.
we are never ever doing that again, because it is now become evident, and I think a lot of Carlton supporters will agree with us when I say this. It takes at least 24 hours to process the bullshit that Carlton produces when they enter onto a football field.
I think there was too much raw emotion yesterday, and safe to say that I think a re-record was necessary. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, I think now that we've had some time to process what's actually happened, we can sort of put the emotion aside and start speaking some facts for episode 3, and actually really sort of dissect what was round 11 for Carlton yesterday. So let's start with the first quarter, because for the first time in about 4 rounds or 5 rounds, we came out with some real intent. There was a desire there, or at least I thought there was a desire evident for us to actually win the game. But that first quarter very quickly, in my opinion, set the tone for the rest of the game, and that tone was missed opportunities. What do you reckon, Andy?
Oh, you were spot on. Missed opportunities. We had chance after chance. We gave ourselves every opportunity to win that game, and we did everything in our power to not win the game. We had Coleman medalists kicking it on the full. We had Coleman medalists kicking it into the man on the mark. We had non-existent small forwards. We had our backup ruckman doing the roving for our key forwards, and it was just a mess. We're in a very, very dark place right now, I think.
Yeah, I certainly think we are. And this dark place came about. Which round was it? It was straight after the West Coast game, where we created that false economy for the Carlton fan base, and then after that, it just went downhill. Who did we play after West Coast? Was it St Kilda?
No, we played Saints first. We lost to Adelaide, St Kilda, then West Coast. Then I think it was Brisbane. I'm pretty sure.
It's been a rough ride. It's been a rough ride.
It doesn't even matter, does it? Who we play, who we lost to? They're all losses.
Yeah,
it was Brizzy, and then Bulldogs. It's all one blur. You know what it is? It's like we've watched the same game. Like we watched the same game against Adelaide. Andy and I bloody flew to Adelaide for gather round to sit through that, and that, mate, we that needs no explanation. The Saints game, the Brisbane game, the Bulldogs game. I think that that long bombing play style that just generates absolutely nothing. I said it yesterday. In more long bombs than the invasion of Iraq. It's just that was the game style that generated from the Carlton Adelaide game, and it hasn't changed. We're watching this same game, so that's why it's all a blur.
Yeah. I think there was I don't know if I'd call it a few patches in the first, like you say. They did come out, and I don't know if there was a bit of spark or a bit of energy about the boys, but I don't know, come through the corridor a little bit more, I don't know, flair in the game, but a bit more dare, but it was very, very short-lived, and we went back to the long bombs and the kicking backwards, the I don't know. I don't know what you'd call it. Like Georgie, you just said, we've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 odd weeks, and I mean, if we're sitting here watching it in the stands and on a screen and that, I mean, other sides have worked this out a long time ago. So I don't know. Something's definitely got to give or change, but we keep saying this week in, week out. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the definition of insanity, isn't it? I mean, we've continued to try the same thing over and over again and hoped for a different result, and it just hasn't happened. We've tried to, we've persisted with kicking it into Harry and Charlie as high and as long as we possibly can. Our forward entries are constantly shallow. Very, very rarely do you see a deep forward entry, which gives our opportunities for our small forwards to put on the pressure needed for us to lock the ball into our forward 50. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because all of our entries are either from, halfway on the wing or sometimes even from the bloody backline. It's really, really bad. But we can talk about the negatives, and we know what they are. We've talked about it over the last 2 episodes, and we've seen it for the last 6-7 weeks. But let's look at some of the positives. And I know this is difficult, but let's look at the defense that Carlton was able to put together yesterday. And I think it's hard. I get it. It's hard to look at the positives, but our defense was back. They were under a lot of pressure. A lot of stress yesterday, and they held out, and it was so bloody good to see Wiedering back to his usual self, the general in the back line. We put him on the sword last week, called him out. I think we called him out the week before that as well, and this week he showed that he's still got that I don't know what the word is, that belief poise. Or that poise, that calm-headedness in him to be the general in the backline that he has been for so long.
Do you think having Lewis Young defense...
I was going to say something on that.
It's interesting, the correlation there. It's probably his best game that he's played in a very long time, and it was Lewis Young admitted. So is it the trust in the partnership?
Well, Lewis Young stepped it up last year when Wiedering went down. He was already playing in the team, but when Wiedering went down, Lewis Young decided, well, I mean, I don't know if he decided, but Lewis Young stepped it up and he became that general in defence. So did that kind of rub Wieders the wrong way, maybe? And maybe he hasn't been able to regain that power he had amongst the defenders, that respect. Almost.
Yeah, it's possible.
Something to think about, actually. I never really thought about it until now.
Young last year he sort of made us forget about the Liam Jones sort of gap that we had. We thought at the start of the season that's going to be a gap that we're going to have to fill very quickly. And he had that composure and the poise he showed, especially in the first half of the season, and then he just filled that hole in the second. And to be honest, I actually thought Young was really good against Richmond and Geelong earlier this year as well. Like, he actually had a really good couple of games, and then
I thought it was BOG against Richmond. I think
he was very solid. Yeah, and I said last week, I don't know if Wiedering was sort of playing heavy or looks like he lost a bit of speed, but yeah, it's great to see that. And again, it's just a small sample. It was against Buddy, who's 36, coming on towards the twilight of his career, but he still was very composed. He shut him down. He never looked like he was going to lose a contest. So interesting to see. I think the call was going to be made whether it was going to be McGovern or Young, for example, last week to be dropped. But Kemp comes in. I know he conceded a few goals, but Wiedering held the defence unit together well, especially early.
I think Wiedering was comfortable. Played on Buddy X amount of times and sort of found his space, and you saw it sort of calling the shots, and he became that general again. Maybe it is that Young factor. I don't know. Sort of maybe he feels a little bit, well, I've got that support. I can sort of ease off a little bit. I don't have to take the number one every time with Lewis Young being in. I don't know.
Well, considering how frequently our midfield concedes centre clearances and how easily they concede those centre clearances, our defence has held up pretty well the whole season. Because I don't think there's another team in the AFL. I don't. To be fair, I don't watch a lot of West Coast these days, but I don't think there's another defence that has to deal with such clean entries into defensive 50 like we do. Because
agreed.
Like we've spoken about previously, our midfielders aren't really defensive minded.
They're all one way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're constantly getting caught with our pants down defensively.
Yeah,
and it's easy to say, oh, where's that defender or where's that defender, but where's the help from the mids? Where's the help from the wingers?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think it was yesterday. Papley ran down to the defense, and I think he took a mark, an intercept mark, or he did a smother or tackle, something. He did something like super defensive in the third quarter when the game was, right on the line. When's the last time you saw, I don't know, Owies or Durden just take that responsibility and help the defenders out? You know what? Let's not even worry. When's the last time Patrick Cripps done a tackle in the defence?
Yeah, I was going to call that, Andy. I was going to say last time I saw someone in a Carlton Guernsey that had a midfield role was probably Fraser Brown do something in the back line.
Yeah, bro. Probably.
You see when we either get possession potentially under pressure or on that half back line, you got 3 or 4 Carlton players always thinking just run forward, right? So they're forward of centre or going forward, and we saw it. I think it was highlighted a couple of times in the game last week where we were caught out. Walsh got tackled holding the ball in the 50 line because all his teammates sort of left him for dead, saying give it to me, 30 or 40 meters down the line. But where's the help around him, and that run and spread and carry that we had sort of last year seems to have sort of died. Like, every rebound out of the 50 or pressure in the defensive 50 is, it's almost non-existent, or it's a gamble.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So where are we at? We're like, where are we at now? What next? What's our move?
I think we can certainly cross the line out of the defense, right? The defense isn't the problem within the team. I think we have a really, really solid defense, if not one of the best defensive groups in the competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Irrespective of the the rotations that we've seen in the defense this year and even last year, it's a really, really good defense. Let's shift our attention to the midfield now, right? We've already made the call that our midfield is one-way running, right? There's no defensive mindset from our midfielders, which I tend to agree with. But what about the lack of connection between the midfield and our forward line? Which, if I was to pinpoint anything, the weakest link to Carlton's, strategy or game plan or whatever it is that midfield to forward line link.
It's under 10s level.
It's pretty bad.
It's Auskick level, man. Like, we can't hit a target going forward. And it's not even just going in 50. It's shifting the ball from defense to the wing and getting caught and then going back and then sideways, and then we're just going nowhere. We're literally going in, like, it's not even a circle, because a circle sometimes goes forward. At one point of a circle, you're going forward. We struggle. We're struggling with the basics of the game right now. And our mids just not just connecting with going forward, they're not connecting with each other. Like, just the basic Cripper trying to get a handball out to someone, it's going over their head, or it's hitting someone on the feet, or it's just missing them altogether, and we're getting tackled. And just that midfield grunt we had last year, that arrogance we had.
Yeah.
When we knew, teams knew, you want to come with us, you want to match us for 4 quarters, you got to beat us in the contest. Yeah. You got to beat us from the middle, because if we beat you from the middle, we're going to score. We're scoring.
Yeah.
And our entire game last year was based off contested work in the midfield. That's what got us into games, And that's what got us out of games as well when we lost those contests. But we always managed to do it longer than the opposition for the games, that we won. And that was where we were winning games from. And that's gone. That connection that Adam Chera so famously mentioned, which I'll never forgive him for, because, mate, we want to make finals. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
But
don't worry about the connections, buddy.
Anyway.
And your friendships.
Those connections are gone. Those connections are just like we can't. And I mentioned this in the earlier podcast when we were at the Adelaide game, and I'm pretty sure it was Chera pointed to a blade of grass on the ground, and he told the coning to hit him there, and the coning tapped it to him in that spot, and Chera ran the other fucking way. Like, come on, man. Come on.
What gets me, Andy, you're touching on these contests, but I don't know the number off the top of my head, but the last 2 or 3 games, we have actually won more ball from contests, which I don't understand.
Then what?
Yeah.
It's that second move after the contest, that handball, that outball, that small kick, that whatever it is, that's where we've got nothing.
Yep.
We've got the outball. We've got the outball. So we from the contest we can extract it. We're really good at that. Really, really good. We got Cripps, we got Kennedy, who are our stoppage bulls, our center clearance bulls, right? It's once we get it out to a Chera, to a Walsh, right, to a Ollie Hollands. Last year, rounds 1 to 10, it was probably another 2 or 3 handballs before we looked to a kick, right? It was those link-up handballs. Whereas now, there's no link-up handball. It is
straight on the boot.
One out, panic boot, get it into the forward 50 as quick as possible, and hope for the best.
That's the old Ed Kerno. That's what we call the Ed Kerno in Carlton circles. The old throw it on the boot, hit and hope.
Hit and hope.
Just get meters gained.
Speaking of Ed Kerno, I'm going to just go left here. Why is Ed Kerno not only a sub? That's wrong on 100,000 levels. Why is he getting a game?
Yeah. It's you look at a sub, and what do you want from it, right? What do you want from your sub? Let's look at soccer, right? They bring on people to replace injured players, to bring in some speed, to bring in some dash, some agility, right? Or something to break the lines. Ed Kerno doesn't do any of that. Now, this is the only sub that an AFL team can have, and we've gone with the oldest, the slowest, the most unreliable kick, and the best hack.
He gave away a free kick his first contest. He literally came on the ground and gave away a free kick in the first contest he was in.
See, there's a lot of things that I'd put on the players for last night, but that one is unforgivable for Voss having Ed Kerno as a sub. I can't go past that. And that's because how well did that work against the Doggies? He's a sub. He's an endurance player. He comes on against the Doggies. 2 possessions, 1 kick, 1 handball. He's at 50% efficiency. Makes no impact to the game. He's an endurance player. Like you either have him there and give him a job. He's going to run with someone all day, or play someone else. Round 1, we brought Lockie O'Brien, I think it was, on as a sub against Richmond. He was, running down the wing, getting
almost became the match winner.
Yeah, almost. It have a point of difference in your sub where it's a bit of a game breaker. So that one's on Voss.
Yeah, that one's definitely on Voss. Yeah.
You know that Lockie O'Brien. This just hit me. I'm probably wrong. I'm 90% probably wrong. I can't remember having that much space in a game since. I actually can't remember us having that much space in a game. Maybe the West Coast game, but
that wasn't a game. That was a practice match.
But seriously, I can't remember the time we had a player run with the ball and take 3 bounces.
Doesn't happen.
No. It used to be Sard off the halfback, and he's been shut down the last 3 or 4 games. He's been hard tagged, and it's become evident not only to us Carlton supporters, but the rest of the AFL competition, that as soon as you tag Saad, he's out of the game.
Look, have you guys noticed that even when we mark it in defence, it's almost like we're hesitant to even give it to Saad, though. Like, he's outrun off the half-back line, and we're not giving it to him. Like, at least 3 or 4 times I saw in the Sydney game where Saad would be running past the person who marked it, and they'd go to give it to him, but then no, they wouldn't.
They bail.
How else do we plan on breaking lines?
Yeah.
And
How else do we plan on...
That was the difference last year where you take a mark on defensive 50, look to your side, Fisher, Saad, Doherty, they're running past, you get a bit of running carry, and now we just default to stop, pivot, look sideways, chip 20 metres, Chera gets it, hope down the line that Silvani or McKay or Kerno, mark it on the wing. If not, comes right back over your head.
Comes right back, yeah.
What are we? We've asked this every not even just with the podcast. We've asked this for 2 months.
Yes.
What are we? What is our brand? What are we playing for? What are we representing? Like, there are so many unanswered questions, and we're halfway through another season.
We're getting to work, Andy. We're getting to work, mate.
We got to get better. It just wasn't good enough, and we got to get better.
Honestly,
I love some aspects of it.
It might click. It might, but I can't see it. I can't see how this is sustainable for the coach. I think the expectation was too high to try something like this, and I don't think it's sustainable for Voss, and I don't think it's sustainable for the players. I think the players are thinking, this isn't working, mate. This guy's got no clue. And you can see it by the efforts they gave in that final quarter when the game was on the line. Those efforts, there were so many efforts that just half-assed, man. They just didn't want to be there. Sydney got that first goal. No, they were done. The team was done.
Yeah, I think the turning point for me in the Sydney match was the third quarter, where I think it was a period of about 10 minutes where we had it, or maybe not 10, but it was a reasonable amount of time where the ball was locked in our forward 50. Sydney was struggling to get it out, right? The pressure was on. It was forward 50 entry after entry after entry, and you know what we did with it?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And this goes back to, I don't blame Voss for this loss. Like, we kick those goals. I'm telling you, we win. The game is different. Sydney were nowhere near it last night.
Yep.
We allowed them on the rebound to score. But Harry kicks those goals. Charlie kicks those goals. Jesse kicks those goals. Cooper kicks that goal. Man, they were all extremely gettable. Like, they weren't tough kicks. Bro, Hawthorn's gone past us. Gold Coast is miles ahead of us right now. West Coast, they're playing like they're not winning. They're not getting anywhere near it, but they're playing an exciting brand. They're giving themselves a chance to score. The opposition is going to score double or triple, but at least they look like when they go inside 50, they're hitting Oscar Allen on the chest. You know what I mean?
Lace out.
Yeah.
And we're just not. They've got waffle players kicking it to him. We've got players on, 5-6 year contracts. Players getting 600,000-700,000. Kicking it to blokes who are on 7-year contracts. Who can't kick a fucking drop punt.
We tried. For the last couple of weeks, Mr. Mackay. He kicked a few drop punts, but it didn't go to plan.
No. He's too proud, mate. He's too proud to ask for help. And I respect it. I get it. I respect it. But, bro, you aren't playing for yourself. This is a team sport. Yeah. You do what's best for the fucking team. And if that means going up to someone with your tail between your legs and you say, I need help for the betterment of the fucking team, you do it.
Yeah.
It's called Carlton Football Club, mate. It's not the Harry Mackay Football Club.
Yeah, I think if I was Harry Mackay, I'd be turning around to Brendan Favola and saying, I'm sorry. Come in and give me a hand, because clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. If you don't believe me, just go watch my highlights from the Sydney game. I don't know.
This club has treated Favola like shit for over a decade. Yeah. It's ignored him. It's ignored him when we were down, 8 years ago, and they're ignoring him now.
Yeah.
He's someone that you can tell bleeds blue, just like us.
Yeah.
And the club is saying no.
Speaking of ex-Carlton football players that bleed blue, here's another Carlton supporter, ex-Carlton player that was extremely frustrated with
Bryce
the game.
Gibbs.
Bryce Gibbs. If someone is, and I remember him playing for the Navy Blue. He was quite a cool, calm, and collected person on and off the field. But for him to come out and say, even I'm getting frustrated with the Blues at the moment, just goes to show how much of a rabble we are at the moment. We have no idea. It's not our defense. I'm crossing them off my list. They're off my target list, right? It's the lack of link up, in my opinion, in our midfield, right? After we get it out of a stoppage, after Cripps and Kennedy go to work, and it's our failure to finish off our hard work. I mean, there was 6 goals, maybe 6 or 7 goals last night that went begging. Add them to the score. And we've won.
Yeah, we win. I get it. We win. And you said before, was it kick 15 points or whatever? Take 5 of those out and call them 5 goals. We win. But we beat a broken Sydney. Well, we had aspirations to come out and be a good side, a competing side this year. We beat a broken Sydney. That's it.
I get that, bro. I get that. But right now, we're not in a position to pick and choose who we beat. Right now, we need a spark. And every time there's a flicker, we blow it out.
Come on. Yeah.
And that's the most disappointing part of it is, in 3/4 time, whatever Vossi said to the guys, your season's on the line, Vossi's under the pump, and you can't muster a single goal in the 4th quarter. Between Charlie and Harry, 1 goal 6, 1 into the man in the mark, 1 on the full. And the turning point for me, I think, was the 2nd quarter when Charlie missed 2, Motlop missed a pretty easy one. They go out and kick, and get a small extended the lead, and that's so you've got your chances. You've got your chances to actually, get a lead. You've got your chances to potentially ice the game previously, in previous weeks. Put it this way, I've got 21 goals. We've scored 21 goals in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
We've scored 21 goals, 41 behinds in the last 3 weeks. That's not going to win you anything. Last night was 59 inside 50s, I think, from my count, for 6 goals. And that's not going to win you anything. It's not going to win you anything. So and you say, footballers are frustrated, ex-footballers are frustrated. I've got opposition fans doing welfare checks on me today. Look at I read Dane Swan's tweet. He said, "This is not trying to be funny or smart." He said, "But what a horrible existence you would have if you supported Carlton. I could not fathom having to deal with this every week for the last 30 years." I've just since birth, I've got my son a Carlton membership. Is that considered child abuse now? Is that I've signed him up for a lifetime of misery.
You and me both,
reconsider that. Reconsider that, guys.
So what is that? Where does that put our efficiency inside 50? 30, what is it, 37, 38%?
Yeah.
Not good enough.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. The other stat I got for you, rounds 1 to 10 last year, also known as the greatest time if you're a Carlton fan in the last 2 decades.
The honeymoon period.
the honeymoon period, rounds 1 to 10, we averaged 93 points a game. The rest of the season, 77. So we're almost 3 goals worse off after we've sort of been found out. This year, taking away the West Coast game, because week on week that game just becomes more and more irrelevant, especially after Hawthorn beat them by a larger margin. We are averaging 69 points with 2 Coleman medalists, a Brownlow medalist, supposedly, a system. So supposedly we're the best list we've had in 2 decades. And I said this yesterday, I'm guilty of overrating the list. I think we all are. Our supporter base are, and they fucking catfished us. I think they catfished us. They were talking late last season saying Carlton, just missed out on the 8. They're an elite winger away from cracking the top 8. Hell, some media people were saying they're an elite winger away from cracking the top 4. They're a contender. Yeah. So we go to get Musa's best mate, Blake Acres, the supposed elite winger who makes my eyes fucking bleed when he kicks the ball.
Or touches it. He tried to have a bounce. Did anyone see that?
And I said it yesterday. I don't see the upgrade on Nunes. I don't see the upgrade on Lockie O'Brien, and we've regressed. That's if these numbers and anything from this year has shown anything, it's the regression across almost every line.
Yeah, but this our starting 18. You take any player out, and they're a starting player in any side, bar Acres on current form. but other than that, Carlton form, I call it. I take the Guernsey off, and they're good to go.
I just think we're miles off. It's been a round of upsets, so the results from other games haven't really gone our way. And if it continues tomorrow, we're going to be 14th by the end of the week.
Yeah. So we're recording this podcast on Sunday morning at 12:37 a.m. and we've already dropped 13th, right? We're now 13th on the ladder, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah,
and going back to our off season last year, we bought in Acres, right? He was supposed to be the solution to us going into finals and quite possibly into top 4 status, right? We look at the game against Richmond last year in round 1, and we had in our centre line Will Setterfield, Paddy Cripps, and Lockie O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
We beat Richmond in what was, in my opinion, one of the best games I've ever attended. It was brilliant.
Almost cried. I literally almost cried.
It was so good to watch. So good to watch. How
my happiness peaked at that game. My life happiness hit its peak at that game.
Yeah. My voice didn't recover for 4 days after.
Yeah, I was
I sounded like this the whole time.
If I'm having a bad day, I just go back and watch that 4th quarter just to see that Fisher goal.
That Fisher goal with the sound, I'll never forget it.
Or the Doherty goal.
Yeah. The Doc goal.
Doherty was screaming so hard when he kicked that goal. His eyes went like this. Watch it. Pay attention to his eyes, right? Beautiful to watch. Blake Acres, I think, has made us slower in the midfield. We were already slow as it was, right? Cripps, Kennedy, and Hewitt are bulls. Bulls aren't quick. No bull is quick. Lockie O'Brien is quick. He's a shit kick, but he's quick. Right? I would, and we'll get to the Melbourne game and the amount of changes that are going to be required for this game. But I would certainly try Lockie O'Brien over Blake Acres with Cottrell on the other side, because Cottrell's been fantastic. Cottrell's been awesome. His speed and pace has been so good. He gets to more contests. He becomes the link-up player more often than anyone else in our lineup at the moment, and that's what we're missing. We're missing that link-up out of the stoppage.
That's what scares me, though.
Impacts the game.
He's having impact. He's probably, if you backtrack, 12 months, he's probably the least skillful player on that Carlton list. That's why he wasn't getting games, skill-wise. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yep.
But he is hitting more targets, getting to more contests, and winning more ball for us than anyone out there.
Aside from Walsh, he's also been the only midfielder to kick a goal every game he's played this year.
Well, has Walsh done that?
No, just last night. He kicked the goal last night.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. Walsh has done that as well. But Walsh is Walsh. Walsh is a freak.
No, sorry. He won against the Doggies. I know that.
Yeah. Cottrell compared to Walsh, it's chalk and cheese, man.
Yeah, he won the number one draft pick.
Yeah. We really need our midfield to start, contributing to the scoreboard as well. Not just by setting up the goals, but putting numbers on the board too.
That's what won Cripps to Brownlow ultimately.
Yeah.
He touches and goals.
He got 20 or 21 goals or something like that. He was always good for a goal a game or a couple of times chipping with a couple, and especially in the early season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Round 1 against Richmond last year, he had 30 disposals and 3 goals.
We've just declined so bad. Like last night, I was miserable. I was genuinely miserable. But it wasn't the usual shit we lost, like I'm upset we lost. I'm fucking done. Like I feel just depleted. I am depleted. It's just emptiness right now. You know what I mean? It's just emptiness. Today I had customers come into my shop and they're genuinely feeling sorry for us. They're like, what was that? These are Collingwood supporters, scum Essendon supporters, just Essendon is feeling sorry for us. Essendon
we're in a bad way.
Essendon couldn't put together 5 minutes of good footy last year, and they're in the 8 tonight.
I said it. I said it yesterday. It's become a joyless experience. It's a joyless experience. It's yesterday broke me as a person. Legit. Like I was, like the dark abyss. The soul was just leached of any happiness left in actually watching football. Like you look forward to these weekends. We all pay big dollars for our memberships. We go every week. Me and Andy went to the Adelaide game and try to get to interstate games and things like that as well. But you follow this club and you care so much. Like it literally controls your mood, right? Controls your outlook for the week. It's your football team impacts and controls your mood, and it's hard not to let it get the better of you, honestly. But again, we do it again on Friday night. Okay.
Do we take anything away from the Sydney game? Any positives at all?
Yeah, 100%. We kick straight, we win. We dominated them all over the ground. We just couldn't kick a goal to save our lives.
And our forward entries were terrible.
Yeah, and on that, the positive you take if you're an opposition is we will give maximum coaches' votes to your fullback. So your fullback, or Darcy Moore, and as this week it was Blakey. Go Andy.
Sorry, guys.
You go Andy.
To the dirty Collingwood supporters who went at Amal in the comments for saying what he said about Darcy Moore without using their little peasant brains, their little Collingwood brains, to understand and to be able to comprehend what the man was talking about. We had Blakey take 6 intercept marks in 1 quarter. It took your little doggy 4 quarters to get 10. So this guy did it in 6. So he's good, but he's not the greatest.
Yeah, he's not Nick Blakey.
Did it in 1 quarter.
Nick, and look, we were giving the same entries, same thing that Darcy Moore was getting. Nick Blakey was getting as well.
100%.
So you did say yesterday, actually, Andy, if Aaron Francis didn't steal a few off Blakey.
Aaron Francis, the greatest defender in all of the land. If you're a Collingwood supporter, just shut your mouth, please. Shut your little pile.
Look, to be fair to those Collingwood supporters who have some intellect, there were a few in the comments on TikTok the other day that did come out and go, no, this guy's there's nothing. He's not saying anything wrong. But to the rest of you, you're all idiots. You're all idiots. And look, you guys have a great team. There's no doubt about that. And Darcy Moore will be an All-Australian defender, possibly even All-Australian captain, right?
Agreed.
But you're going to lose in the grand final, so it doesn't matter anyway. So
by 1 point.
Yeah.
Can we stop talking about Collingwood? It's uncomfortable.
But no, look, honestly, Nick Blakey, a half-back flanker. He's a half-back flanker, right? He's not a key defender. He took 7 intercept marks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were all over Darcy Moore because he took 10. 3 more. 3 more.
And that's his job.
Yeah, that's literally his job.
Darcy Moore's a key defender. This guy's a half-back flanker who still managed to take 7 intercept marks against Carlton. If that doesn't tell you that our forward entries are pathetic, I don't know what will.
Jake Lever's going to take 58 next week.
It's a chicken or the egg scenario, Mal. I know you touched on the mids, but are they just over the forwards? Like, what's the point? You're going to miss anyway.
They hate each other. Everyone hates each other at a club. Everyone. President hates the CEO. The CEO hates the list manager. List manager hates the coach. The coach hates the captain. Captain hates the player. Everyone. I hate them. They hate me.
The link between the midfield and the forward. We touched on the link between the midfield and the forward a few times. And when we're at the game, when you get the odd rare occasion where there's a bit of link-up play and someone hits, Charlie Laceout or Harry Laceout, we turn to look at each other like we've just seen something amazing, right?
Yeah.
Now, like the predictability of bombing it long and high, and we work so hard for such little reward. We have to rely on they're wrestling Charlie to the ground or Harry or just the miraculous.
The 1%ers.
Yeah, just relying on really, really hard work or just pure talent from some of the players, not even skill, just some talent to actually get a goal or a free kick.
I truly believe that with Voss's game plan is basically talent versus talent. He's hoping that we're just going to beat teams on talent, which is fine, except we don't have that much of it. You know what I mean? And I think that's another thing that's just killing us, man.
I know it's not Voss's fault. I really know that. And, last Sydney game was evident. I mean, like you said, Andy, we hit the scoreboard properly, we win. But I want to be a fly on the wall. Like, you know yourself, Andy, warming up for a game, you got your headphones on, whatever. You're going through some, lollies, glucose tabs and whatnot. What does he say before? What does he say? What does he say before the game? Is he just sit around and go, "All right, guys, go have fun"? Like,
I'll tell you what he said after the game, which threw me off big time. And
I caught that. You go.
There's parts of the press conference I'm sure I know what you're going to touch on, but there was one bit where he said, how's Cripps? How did he pull up? And he said, look, you got a stamp on the ankle or whatever, and we didn't think it was right to risk him. And I could have sworn that he came back on the field with about a minute ago.
He did.
He did. I know he was pacing. He was pacing on the boundary line, and he sort of came back on. And I could have sworn at the last contest with a minute left, he's come back on. But Voss is saying, didn't want to risk him, not worth the risk. Did he watch the game? Was he watching the last?
He didn't even know that Newman's done his. Was it who was it? Newman, hammy tweak or whatever it was. He didn't even know. He had to ask them, who was it? Oh, was it Newman? Yeah, Newman. Oh, he had no idea. He was just going on about, what was he saying? He was proud or something.
And
there was a bit of intent. Obviously, he loved aspects of it. It's the same speech over and over. We've got to get to work. He thought we were good. He thought parts of it were great.
He said we've got to put our arms around Harry.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Tell you what, I wouldn't mind putting my hand around his throat.
I tell you what, right? Voss,
Homer Simpson.
Voss as a player was a hard nut. He was a hard nut, right? It is unimaginable to see him in press conferences sit there and honestly pretend to be a nurturing coach. I don't think he is. I refuse to believe that he fronts the media in his presses and is so, I'm going to say it, so soft cock, right? And then go into the change rooms after a game and at halftime, and sit there and go, the intent was there, boys, right? Harry, you're not kicking well. Can everyone stand up and give Harry a hug, please? I refuse to believe that he's doing that.
I reckon it's there. It has to be there. There's no emotion from him anywhere, even around the ground, walking around in the coach's box, comes down on the ground. Nothing. He's just blank.
Yeah, after the game yesterday, because I didn't know what to do, but just stare at the screen, and I saw Voss at the end of the game walking onto the field with his hands in his pocket. Like, man, your job is on the line at the moment, regardless of whether it's your fault or not. Your job is on the line, and you're showing the world, the AFL world, a picture of you walking on the field, looking so careless, carefree, hands in pockets, just sort of kicking blades of grass along. Man, like, and then you go into the presser and say that the intent was there, and a lot of you loved a lot of aspects of that game. Like, we kicked 6-15. Don't tell me that you like.
We lost.
Yeah,
there is
Sydney,
nothing to
Sydney
like
did
about
not
that.
win. Sydney did not win that game.
There is nothing to like about a loss. If there's one thing I can't stand, is a positive person after a loss.
We've had a million of those honourable losses too.
We played we've all played sports. None of us like to lose, and there is some honour in defeat. But, and this is a big but, I fucking hate losing, man. Like, it kills me. And we follow a football club. We bleed for a football club that is constantly losing. And I am fucking sick of it.
Hey, Andy, when you threw that butt out there, sorry, I just got this vision. I'm not going to drop any names, but do you remember playing juniors? I think we were up.
Yeah,
we're up by 15 goals.
Literally. Yeah.
At half time, our coach,
under 16s,
he had the coaches board, with all the positions and whatnot, and he was going, you guys are doing really well, and it was, you're doing a fantastic job, Jono and Andy and whatnot, and grabs the board and he threw it on the ground and he goes, but, and he just lost it. I don't even remember. Yeah, he lost me at but.
We're up 15 goals against like the second team on the ladder. We're like 4th or 5th on the ladder, and he's just fucking turned. Me and Moose look at each other, and we we made eye contact, so we obviously started laughing. But man, but that's the environment we grew up in.
And you got Voss kicking grass.
Losing's not a fucking option. There's nothing to be proud of.
Out of curiosity, do you still have his number? If you do, can you pass it to Luke Sayers?
But it's interesting you say that, because it's culturally, like in every sport, go across any sport, right? If you've got Federer, Ronaldo, or Messi, or Hawthorn three-peat team, whatever, the killer mentality that is just consistent across the line at any elite level of sport, whether it be the players, the coaches, I don't see it. We want to make friends. We want to make connections.
Connections.
And the priority for the club seems to be off-field. Memberships, initiatives.
Just hand out free memberships. Let's try to get to 100,000. Let's inflate those numbers.
If the Carlton, or if Carlton as an organisation is its duty and its purpose is to torture Carlton fans, it's the most successful organisation in the world,
on the planet,
and
possibly in the universe.
Yeah.
It's honestly
let's look to next week. Let's look to next week.
It's torture following us at the moment.
Okay. I got a positive. Something's going to change in the midfield because we got no midfield.
Let's look at the injury list, right? Newman Ahami, he's going to miss some football. He's going to miss some football, right? And he's been pretty important to our back line. So there's going to be a change there. Chera got offered a 1-match suspension for his sling tackle on the tallest guy in the game, Tom Hickey.
Yeah.
I don't even think his head flinged in any way, shape, or form. It was his fucking dreadlocks that were just like doing these ones, and 1 match ban. But anyway, look, we'll take it. I don't think our Carlton lawyers aren't going to get us out of this one. Hewitt, concussion, so he's out.
Minimum,
right?
yeah, 2 weeks.
Cripps, flip a coin, because Vossi reckons that he shouldn't have played, but apparently he ran on. So question marks around whether Cripper is going to be fit as well. But even with all these changes in our back line and
Kennedy.
and our midfield and Kennedy as well, is he going to get up against Melbourne? Even with all these changes, Dow still won't make the cut.
He has to get a game.
If I'm his manager, and for whatever reason Voss pulls out of his ass this week, says we can't pick Dow. If I'm Paddy Dow's manager, I'm telling him, pack your boots. You're going on ice.
Yeah.
I'm taking you to a club that's going to play you next year, mate.
That's going to play you. Yeah.
That's
Stop wasting your time in the VFL.
Don't waste your time for this rabble.
Yep.
Voss is going to have to get very creative this week if he wants to keep him out.
He has to play him.
And he said it last week. He said the only reason, and he said, I've had this conversation with him and he knows it. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't know, or that I haven't had the conversation with him, is that because there's too many like-for-like players in his position that are ahead of him. I think there's just 3 that's just been wiped out now. So
there's no more excuse.
Yeah, the only 3 that we had that was apparently holding him back from breaking into the team is out.
Yeah, well, let's see. Well, we've worked out Dow probably gets a run. Lewis Young comes back in.
Lewis Young for Newman.
Newman.
Yep.
Or Chincotta. Chincotta maybe comes in.
I did not understand Chincotta getting dropped. He got dropped last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he was really, really good in his first 2
games. Fisher will come in. So
100%.
In what capacity is going to be the question. I think Fisher would be a good sub. Now, there's a good sub choice, right? He's got speed. He's pacey. He's got some what's that word? Finesse about him. He's a point of difference in a game. He's a good sub choice. Not Ed Curnow.
I watched highlights of Fisher in the VFL. And he just looked like someone that shouldn't be playing VFL. Now, I understand his form before it was shocking, like terrible. And maybe this slapped him back into a bit of a good form. But he just looked like he didn't belong in a VFL. He looked like an AFL footballer amongst the VFL footballers.
What did he get? 40 disposals this week?
40-odd, couple goals, I think, or something like that. He's just... Just a standout performance,
You need him on the half forward line. I think Ed's been playing on that half forward in a defensive sort of role. I think we need Fisher there, and then
Jack maybe
if Andrew Russell finds Jack Martin's calf, and that's the next one.
I think Jack Martin's missed far too much.
That's all right. He's only 1 to 2 weeks away.
As of round 1, that was the diagnosis. So that's the medical team for you.
Does Jack Silvani come back?
Who does he come in for?
I
personally would like to see him in.
Don't know.
But I don't know. I don't know who he comes in.
Know. Do we bring him in as he's too slow to play defense? I don't know.
Drop Harry.
I don't know. I don't know.
Something different.
There's been a lot of talk about dropping Harry. Hey, it's just in the last 24 hours.
Just fucking drop him. Get him in the VFL. Hopefully he can kick a few bags there.
Or does Lewis Young go forward and Harry comes out? Then they play.
Oh my god! What were they thinking, man? Seriously, you've taken Lewis Young. You've omitted him, right, based on form, and I think it was questionable, to say the least, right? But if you've omitted someone on form, let's just say it's because of a lack of confidence that they're not playing to their full potential. Instead of playing Lewis Young in his position in the VFL in the back line, you thought this is the perfect opportunity to try something new. Let's put you up forward.
Let's try to find you some form by playing you out of position.
Yeah. Let us show you what it's like.
Is that not the most Carlton thing ever? Just to make... I said this last night, bad decision FC. We are just a football club of bad decisions.
Yeah,
from the top to the bloke at the bottom.
That's a really bad one. But look, I certainly think Lewis Young does come back in as a direct replacement for Newman. It's going to be a tough game. Melbourne is not going to be an easy game. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near it as far as the win is concerned, if I'm being realistic, unless something drastic against Melbourne.
Yeah, I think it was 2 wins out of 20 or something like that.
Yeah, since they've turned it around. It hasn't been easy sailing when it comes to the Demons. Now, I think that we would be lucky to get within 5 or 6 goals, considering the amount of changes. Now, look, we lost to a depleted Sydney side, and it cost us about 4 players.
Didn't think of it like that. Good way to put it.
That's really.
This is so bad. We're so bad.
Sprinkle some more salt on the wound. We lost to a Sydney side. We kicked 6-15, and it cost us 4 players, including Cripps, Hewitt, Kennedy, and Newman.
We're literally 4 out of our best 10.
Pushing shit uphill, literally.
Look,
I genuinely think that Dow still won't make the cut either.
I reckon we'll just lose to Melbourne, to be honest. I reckon, when I say just, I mean 3 goals.
Yeah, wow.
I don't think we get belted. I just don't think. I think we make other teams play bad, and I don't think they kick that much of a winning score. I don't think either team scores over 70.
I think we'll give them a good fight, to be honest, with the amount of changes that we're going to have that are forced now. So it's it's not really, it's forcing the match committee to make bulk changes due to suspension and injury. Get a bit of speed in there. I think, okay, you keep saying it. We all keep saying it, week on week, saying, all right, surely this week something's got to change. Surely this week, change it up a little bit. But after watching the same game for the 6 of the last 7 we've lost, so minus the West Coast game, we've watched the same game for the last 6 weeks play out. You have a feeble effort in the 4th where you might have a crack too late. So surely something changes fundamentally for this game, because
you certainly hope so.
Has to.
And again, not saying that I think we'll get up. I think we'll give them a contest and potentially fall short at the end, because they might run over the top of us with legs and whatnot, with the amount of injuries that we have when we're stretched. Depth is going to be tested in the midfield mainly, and Petrarca's an absolute beast. Even without Oliver today, I think he had a pretty good game. And
Oliver's going to miss next week as well, isn't he?
It looks like it. And Frio's poked the bear. They've got him angry. So look out. Awesome. We'll be there. We'll be there.
We'll get done. I think we'll see a bit more spark out of the mids. I think they'll just come out, and I hope Paddy Dow comes in for his sake. I think we'll see a bit more run, a bit more speed, and hopefully that enables a better delivery, and the guys can kick straight. But I think we'll lose by a couple, Andy, like you sort of said. It'll be sort of a closer game. But
yeah, I think if we're a chance to win this game, we need our midfield to link up a bit more out of stoppages. So instead of getting the ball out of a stoppage and then putting ball to boot and getting it into the forward 50 as quick as possible, you need a few handballs in the right direction before you look at a kick. And I'd like to see both Harry and Charlie sit a bit deeper in the forward line to give them an opportunity to lead up for the ball.
Yeah.
I feel like they sit too high in the forward 50, and maybe that's why the midfield are trying to, popping it up for them. I don't know. I'll try and pay attention to that in this week's game, but sit a bit deeper, give yourself the opportunity to run and lead up at the ball, and maybe the Coleman medalists in both Harry and Charlie will come out and the elite kicking skills that I know our midfield has, will shine against Melbourne. But that's a big if. I mean, we need
a lot to go our way.
I think if you're looking at this game, you're a midfield coach, or you're you're Vossi, Lever, Jake Lever, and Stephen May. This is not the week. This is not the week to bomb along into the forward 50.
It is not going to work. Two great defenders. Darcy Moore alone did a number on us, and like you said, Lever's a shoe-in to take 35 intercept marks.
Oh yeah, on our game plan, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, with all the fresh changes, we're forced to play a different style. I mean, unless they know the system well, whatever the system is, we're going to have to play a different style. If all those outs are legitimately out, which I think they are, then we're going to be forced, with all these fresh faces coming in, to play a different brand.
Yeah,
and that might work. It might. I mean, we're playing against a very good side who are coming off a disappointing game, so they're going to feel like we've got a bit to prove.
Yep. We've got an opportunity to prove it as well.
Exactly. So yeah.
If Cripper's out, and I think Kennedy's sort of touch and go as well, because he was a bit ginger towards the end of the game. Who gets the hard ball? Because if we're talking Dowells and Fishers.
Yeah, well, the reason why Dow isn't able to break into the team is because of Hewitt, Kennedy, and Cripper. Dow is an inside midfielder, so he should be the natural replacement for Cripps should he be injured.
I think he'll get eaten alive, mate, if his support is Fisher and the likes of someone like that.
Well, that's what the challenge is, man. This is AFL football. It's not easy.
Baptism of fire for him this week. So
that's right. Yeah.
Melbourne run quite tall as well. I mean, they've got Gawn. They've been playing Tom McDonald recently as well. They've got Grundy. So there is an opportunity that our midfield. There is a strong possibility that our midfield will be a lot shorter than what it has been over the last couple of weeks if Fisher and Dow and all these people come in as replacements for the injuries. And if that link up is there, we could outrun them. We could.
There's a lot of positive talk coming out of this. So.
Well, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably a little delusional. Let's be honest.
Look, Dell's probably going to be named as the sub. Let's just put that out there.
No. Ed Kerno's not injured.
They'll play Ed Kerno as the inside midfielder.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah.
Whilst we're on the positives, do we talk about who our Carlton BOGs were? All 3, 2, 1s.
Good call.
I'll kick it off. So I had Cottrell as my one vote. Again, just proved to us how badly Carlton lacks foot speed, and how important it is to our game plan. 2 votes I'd give to Mitch McGovern. When Sard got tagged out of his halfback role, that run and dash, Mitch McGovern provided that, and I thought he had a really, really good game. Now, granted, he is in his contract year, so he's probably trying to get another contract out of whether it might be Carlton or someone else. Regardless, he's still playing for Carlton at the moment, and I thought he had a really, really good game, and 3 votes goes to Wiedering. The General's back, baby.
Yeah, I'd probably go Walsh 1. I think Walsh was pretty good, pretty standard, but did all right. Kicked that important goal too in the 3rd, I think it was. I'd give 2 to Weeders. I think Weeders was pretty great. And watching it back last night, I'd probably go Cottrell, BOG, man. I just think he was our best.
Yeah.
He just did his thing, and I'm really glad he's doing this for his own sake, because all these players that aren't well known, they kind of get swept under. Yeah, they kind of go missing amongst the big names we've got. So
especially at a club like Carlton as well.
Yeah, so I'm glad I'm glad he's doing his thing.
Mus, what about you?
I'm going to give one. I'm going to give the one to Walsh. I think it's probably, we've been sort of watching him closely and sort of, critiquing his game a lot. And I think he sort of did step up. He kicked that goal. Did a lot of little inside things as well. He was good. I think he's slowly starting to sort of show some positive signs and get that composure back. Cottrell was fantastic. He got to every contest. He just runs. He doesn't stop. And this is probably the best time for him to sort of get back into that side, cement his name on that wing. And I'm going to give 3 to Weeders as well. I think his effort was great. He's back to where he needs to be. The one that misses out for me is McGovern, but I'm going to call him out because he's on Akers level for me. But I think he had a solid game. He, 20 odd touches. I think 11 contested posies or something like that. And his kicking efficiency was 90%. Something ridiculous where he's sort of known for the old butcher kick. So, he was good too.
Georgie?
I think, Walsh and Wiedering, I'll probably give one to Wiedering just for, back to doing his job. He was really solid. He was composed. He was poised. I felt confident when the ball was going near him, whether he punching it or marking it. His intercepting was, especially the first half, was really good. 2 to Walsh, I think he's getting back into, racking them up, using it a little bit better. Still, a few entries are a bit, left much to be desired. And I will agree, Andy, there 3. Cottrell, I think the impact he just had, like whether or not he actually got the ball, he created a contest, some one-on-ones. There was a bit of a battle, I remember, on the wing where, he was fighting tooth and nail for it. He just showed more hunger, more desire than pretty much the whole team at one stage. He was just really, in the guts. He was trying to get to every contest and impact every contest. I'm bit annoyed that, I would have loved to have Charlie in that 3 because he looked like he could have blown the game apart. Look at the stats after the game: 18 touches, 11 marks, 1 goal, 3, and 1 into the man of the mark. He could have really made this his own game. But that'll be mine.
Yeah. Final predictions against Melbourne. Do we win? Do we get better? Do we change anything? Or can we say that Voss's head is on the chopping block well and truly?
I don't think his job is on the line for this game. I think his job's been on the line. I think the club has made phone calls already to Hardwick, surely. I think, and I don't think Hardwick's the only one, to be honest. But I think fresh faces, something changes. I still think we get done. I just don't think we get smashed. So, I think Melbourne by 18.
Mus?
Yeah, Melbourne by 26. Same sort of game. I think a bit more speed in the midfield. I think they take a few more risks. I think if these Fishers and Dowes and Cottrells get a bit more run, they start taking some risk. Does it come off? I don't know. But I'm tipping a close game.
George?
I'll probably say, I always had 3 to 4 goals as, probably the margin that I think it'll be. I don't think they'll kick away. I think our defence will actually hold up against their forward line, but I think it'll be a bit of a scrap. But I think we'll show something this week, a little bit of pride, a little bit of heart, a bit of something a bit different. As for Voss in terms of his job is on the line, the media keeps saying this 6-week block, which up until the Essendon game. So, and he's lost all the, 4 out of the 6 so far. But I reckon he's got until the bye. So he's got to show something. You've got Melbourne, you've got Essendon, you've got Gold Coast, then you've got the bye. At this rate, I'm scared of the bye. So,
they'll still use Kerno as the sub for the bye round as well.
And Dell still won't get a game.
Everyone's on a bye. Dell will still be expected to play in the VFL.
Amal, your thoughts?
I'm gonna stick my neck out there. I reckon we're gonna win by 1 point.
Yeah. Get him out of here.
I'm calling it. We're gonna win by 1 point. Harry Mackay will kick 3 goals. Charlie will kick 4. Always will get on the scoreboard. Dow will have his best game for Carlton ever, and then they'll start to consider him moving forward into our midfield as well.
I think you need sleep.
I will remind our viewers that it is 1:15 in the morning, and I don't know what I'm thinking at the moment.
That's good.
But look, no, it's Friday night. Is it a sold out game?
I have no idea. Don't know.
It might have been a few weeks ago. Some of the tickets, might find some empty seats.
I don't think Melbourne fans get around their team until September, to be honest. So
yeah, look, to be honest, I wouldn't blame them. It's like we'll just wait it out until September. But look, nevertheless, what probably would have been a big game at the start of the year is obviously starting to teeter out a bit. I think Melbourne are coming into this game feeling a little more comfortable than they should, and that's probably why I'm predicting a 1 point win. But anyway, let's see how we go. We will all be there on Friday. The latest edition of In-Game Reactions will be live again for round 12 against the Demons. If you see us at the ground, come past, say hello. We'll probably look to introduce a few of the viewers and any other Carlton supporters into the in-game reactions moving forward. So if you're interested in being a part of the in-game reactions, shoot us a message on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, wherever it is that you've viewed it. We'd love for you to get along and be a part of it. If you enjoy the viewing, if you enjoy our honest feedback, our rants, and what is becoming a therapy session, a weekly therapy session for all of us, please like, follow, share, subscribe, and everything else that you need to do on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It goes a long way to helping us out with this channel. But we're very much enjoying producing this content for everyone, and we enjoy that we don't take these thoughts and feelings of depression and anxiety into the week, and we leave it all on this podcast. So it's good. It's good.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. And
we're so sorry.
Yeah.
We're just trauma dumping.
But that's episode 3 done and dusted. Gentlemen, thank you once again. It is a very late night session, but I think it was a very, very good episode. Until round 12, until episode 4, where we review the Demons versus the Carlton Blues. Sayonara. Have a good weekend, and we'll do it again all next week. Thanks, gentlemen.
See you, mate. Thank you.